Welcome to MindEdge, where we explore the hidden future of humanity and technology. Subscribe now and understand the future before it understands you. Since 2023, governments around the world have repeated the same mantra. Artificial intelligence must be regulated before it regulates us. It sounded reassuring, civilized, responsible. But what almost nobody noticed is this. By late 2025, the European Union, the political bloc that promised the strictest AI laws on Earth, has quietly started weakening those same laws, delaying enforcement, softening restrictions, and carving loopholes that didn't exist a year ago. And it's happening right at the moment when AI systems become capable of something far more dangerous than automation or creativity: persuasion. Subtle, personalized, adaptive persuasion. The kind that bypasses debate, bypasses awareness, and goes straight to the human decision-making core. In other words, Europe is loosening control at the exact moment when control matters most, and the public has no idea. Today, we're going to break down exactly what changed, why it changed, and what it means for the future of governance, democracy, and human autonomy in the age of AI. Section 1. What the AI Act was supposed to be. Let's rewind to the beginning. In 2024, the EU passed the AI Act, the world's first attempt to regulate artificial intelligence like a critical infrastructure. It divided AI into 4 categories: unacceptable risk, banned; high risk, heavily controlled; limited risk, transparency required; minimal risk, no restrictions. It included strict rules against manipulative I behavioral scoring emotion, recognition intrusive biometric surveillance, opaque decision-making and general-purpose I models with unsafe capabilities. On paper, it looked like a digital shield protecting European citizens from algorithmic abuse. The narrative was clear. AI must be safe, transparent, explainable, accountable. Europe was saying, we will not let this technology shape our society unchecked. But that was the theory. Now, let's look at the reality. Section 2. What just happened in late 2025? In November 2025, the European Commission proposed a sweeping reform package called the Digital Omnibus. Official reason: to simplify and modernize digital regulation. Actual effect: the AI Act just got softer. Much softer. Here's what changed. High-risk AI rules are delayed until 2027. Systems that were supposed to be tightly controlled, like biometric analysis, algorithmic decision-making, and behavioral monitoring, get 2 extra years of free movement. Data protection rules are loosened for AI developers after intense lobbying from major tech companies and state agencies. General-purpose AI oversight becomes voluntary. The Code of Practice, introduced in 2025, is optional. Meaningful enforcement disappears. Transparency requirements are weakened. Models can now operate with fewer disclosure obligations. In other words, the regulation that was sold as the world's strictest is becoming an opt-in system. And this is happening just as AI becomes powerful enough to influence emotions, beliefs, political preferences, social behavior, and purchasing decisions. People think the EU is tightening the screws. In reality, the screws are being removed. Section 3. Why Europe blinked. Let's be blunt. Regulating AI is easy on paper. It's much harder when the rest of the world refuses to slow down. The United States deregulated AI in 2024 and never looked back. China is scaling AI deployments across cities, factories, borders, and military systems. Europe suddenly realized something. You can't regulate a race you're losing. Brussels faced a choice: maintain strict controls, fall behind permanently; risk economic irrelevance, or loosen controls; keep up with global competition; risk long-term societal consequences. They chose option 2, not because it's safer, not because it benefits citizens, but because slowing down while everyone else accelerates is suicide for a geopolitical bloc. So Europe is stepping on the gas after spending 2 years pretending it would hit the brakes. Section 4. The timing could not be worse. Here's the real danger. AI is no longer limited to writing emails, generating images, or translating text. The newest generation of models, 2025 and beyond, have unlocked something far more potent: cognitive leverage. This means AI systems can identify psychological weak points, tailor messages to vulnerabilities, nudge decision-making, manipulate emotional states, shift beliefs without triggering awareness, influence political opinions without appearing political, and adapt dynamically when the user resists. This isn't science fiction, it's documented. Recent studies published in 2025 demonstrate that advanced AI can outperform human persuasion across multiple domains: marketing, politics, behavioral nudging, emotional priming. The act of influencing humans is no longer an art. It's an algorithmic optimization problem, which leads to a harsh truth. AI persuasion is becoming the most powerful political and economic force on Earth, and Europe just weakened the rules designed to contain it. Most people still think AI is a tool. They imagine prompts, apps, chatbots, assistants. But governments and corporations already understand something deeper. AI is becoming an influence infrastructure. Just like roads move goods, filters move water, power grids move electricity. AI systems are beginning to move human attention, emotion, and decision-making at scale. Not by coercion, not by censorship, not by propaganda, but by personalization. This is the new battlefield. Not what you think, but what you believe comes from yourself. This is persuasion without fingerprints. And this is exactly the domain the AI Act originally targeted. Delaying those protections until 2027 is not a neutral decision. It is equivalent to opening the gates at the exact moment the enemy arrives. Let's map out the risks created by Europe's sudden shift. Behavioral manipulation becomes normalized. AI systems can steer citizens toward desired actions: political, commercial, ideological, while appearing neutral. Biometric and emotional surveillance expand. Companies can harvest signals from voice, face, interactions, micro-reactions. Democracy becomes algorithmically influenceable. Personalized persuasion is the perfect election-shaping tool. Corporations gain psychological power governments never had. Influence becomes a commodity. Compliance becomes invisible. Disinformation doesn't need to be fake anymore. It just needs to be personalized. And all of this is happening in a legal environment that just became far more permissive. Europe thinks it avoided falling behind. In reality, it opened the door to losing control. Citizens still believe the AI Act protects them. That regulation equals security. But here's the uncomfortable reality. Regulation is only as strong as the willingness to enforce it. And right now, enforcement is delayed, diluted, or optional. This means the models influencing you won't have to explain themselves. The systems nudging your behavior won't be labeled. The algorithms shaping your worldview won't be audited. And the entities building persuasive AI won't be supervised. The public thinks they're protected. They're not. They're exposed. Why is persuasion the real battleground? Because influence is the foundation of governance. Control opinion, and you control society. Governments know this. Corporations know this. Intelligence agencies know this. Political strategists know this. Advertisers know this. And the engineers building these systems, they know it better than anyone. AI is not dangerous because it might replace humans. AI is dangerous because it learns how to shape humans. This is the real frontier. Automation is old news. Persuasion is the new currency of power, and Europe just legalized the perfect environment for it to flourish. The shift we're witnessing is not a policy adjustment. It's a paradigm transition. Over the next 2 years, you will see AI-driven political messaging, hyper-personalized propaganda, behavioral steering in commerce and public services, dynamic emotional influence in social platforms, predictive analysis of voters, automated narrative shaping and cognitive profiling at the level of individual citizens. Not because governments want it, but because the technology is too powerful to ignore. Every nation is in a race for influence superiority. Europe tried to regulate it. Now it's quietly choosing to compete instead. Conclusion. The line has already been crossed. The promise was noble. AI must be safe, controlled, and accountable. The reality is strategic. AI must be powerful enough to compete. Europe just blinked. The rules are changing. The protections are fading. The persuasion engines are warming up. And just like every major shift in history, most people won't notice anything until it's too late. Because influence doesn't announce itself. It doesn't break the door. It doesn't force the mind. It whispers. And when power whispers long enough, people mistake the whisper for their own voice. This is the beginning of a new era. Not the era of artificial intelligence, but the era of artificial influence. And those who understand it now will be the only ones who stay in control. This transmission ends here. The next one is already forming. Stay aware and subscribe to Remain in the Signal.